Hey everybody, and welcome to the first lesson of the year. It's a review lesson. We're going to talk a little bit about solving equations. This is a big topic in algebra and also in your middle school days, and it's also going to be important this year in geometry, so it's really valuable that we sort of get a refresh, sort of kickstart the year. So the first type of equation that we need to solve is when we have variables on both sides of the equal sign. You're going to see this a lot this year, so it's important for us to refresh. The first thing we need to do is get all the x's on one side and all the terms that have no x attached to it on the other side. So what I'd like to do is subtract 6x away from this side, which will cancel the 6x over here, and I'll combine it with the 8x over there. So on both sides I'm subtracting 6x, not just 6, because the x is attached to it. So when I do 6x minus 6x, that gives me 0, and I'm left with just the 3 there, and 8x minus 6x gives me 2x, and I still have the minus 21. So now I only have x on one side, so I'm going to move this minus 21 over here. But I have to do that in the appropriate way. Since it's a minus 21, we want to turn it into 0 over here, so we're going to add 21. And we're going to make sure we do it to both sides of the equation. So this minus 21 plus 21 becomes 0. Over on the right, I'm left with 2x. And on the left, 3 plus 21 gives me 24. And finally, to get x alone so that we know what it's equal to, we're going to divide both sides by 2. Since this is 2 times x, we'll do the opposite, which is dividing by 2. 2 divided by 2 gives us 1, so we're left with 1x on the right, and 24 divided by 2 gives us 12. And just as a reminder, whenever we only have 1x left, it's common for us to forget about the 1. It's not necessary to write the 1 there. We'll just assume it's there. So I'll go through another example, and then I'll give you one to try on your own. Very similar, different numbers here. I'm going to start by subtracting 5x from both sides. I like to move the x's first, and I like to move the x with the smaller number in front. So I'll subtract 5x from both sides. That leaves me with just the plus 16 over here. It's a positive 16. 7x minus 5x gives us 2x, and we still have the minus 4. So now I want to move the minus 4. I'll do that by adding 4 to both sides, which gives me 2x plus 20. And then just like the problem we did on the last page, I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to cancel out the 2 here. And that'll leave me with x equals 10. Again, 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. We don't have to write the 1 in front of the x. We all just assume it's there. So what I would like you to do now is to try this one on your own. Do it on your own in your notes, and then you can watch me do it, and you can check your answer. So I like to start by moving the x's first, and I like to move the x with the smaller number in front of it. So this x over here has a 1 in front of it. We just don't write it. So I'm going to move it first by subtracting x from both sides. So that leaves me with 5x minus 2, because 6x minus 1x is 5x. And I got my 13 over here, my minus 2 is still there. So now I'm going to add 2 to both sides to cancel out the minus 2 here. And now to get x by itself, I divide by the number that's in front of it, which is 5. I do that on both sides of the equation, and I end up with x is equal to 3. So go ahead and check your work against mine. If you made a mistake somewhere, see if you can find where it is, and if not, you can always ask me in class. So one more type of equations that we need to be good with this year is an equation where we have sort of an x and some numbers on top of a fraction and then a denominator of a fraction that we need to get rid of. So 9 is in the denominator of a fraction. So the first thing we're going to want to do is move that 9 so that we don't have a fraction anymore, because nobody likes fractions, so let's get rid of them. So x plus 2 is being divided by 9. This fraction bar means that we're doing some division. So what I want to do is multiply both sides by 9. And I'll show you what that looks like here. So when I divide both sides by 9, what's going to happen on this side is that the 9 there and the 9 on the denominator are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with just the stuff that's on top. And on this side, we're just doing 5 times 9. So now it looks like I got a pretty simple equation to solve. I'll subtract 2 from both sides, and I'll find out that x is equal to 43. So you might be tempted to do some sort of distribution property here. If you remember that property, we'll use that this year as well, but no need. Those two numbers cancel each other out and just leave us with what's on top. So let's do one more together, and then I'll let you do one on your own. Here I have x minus 7 being divided by 2, so I want to get rid of that 2 so I don't have a fraction any longer. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 2. And just like on the last one, on this side where I have the fraction, these 2's are going to cancel each other. And it's going to leave me with just what was on top of the fraction. And on the right, I'm just simply doing 6 times 2. And now again, I have a simple equation. That's not always the case. Sometimes it might be a little more complicated. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And I'm going to figure out that x is 19. So go ahead and try this example on your own, and then watch me solve it and see if you got the right answer. If not, check the work, see if you can find out where you made your mistake. So I need to get rid of this 3 on the bottom of this fraction. So again, I don't have any fractions left. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. My 3's over here are going to cancel. And I'm going to be left with x plus 4 on the left. And then negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. I'll subtract 4 from both sides because that's a plus 4 on the left. And this is where you need to be a little bit careful when we have negatives hanging out with each other. Negative 24 minus 4 is negative 28. So again, if you made a mistake, if you didn't get negative 28, see if you can find somewhere in my work, compare it to your work, and see if you can find the mistake. It's a good time to remind you that you should always be showing your work in math, especially when there's a lot of algebra involved. It's important so that we can find a mistake and fix it. Sometimes it's just a small mistake that we need to fix. So at the end of each lesson, you're going to have a few problems to do. These should look similar to some problems that we just did together. I want you to do them on your own, solve them in your notes, and then I want you to go to the link below this video, and I want you to fill your name, your last name, your first name, the period you're in, and I want you to fill in your answers on the Google form that I've linked below this video. As a reminder, these you-do questions, you going to that form and submitting me your answers is worth 25% of your homework grade each time you do homework. So give these a shot. If you have any questions, make sure you write them down so that you remember them and you ask me in class and I'll absolutely help you out.